that park thing, or it's at the park, or they always do it at the park, or they do it kind of random places?
Woodley Park.
Woodley Park. We used to do Unison there. It was like
It's
a
a good
collab.
spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're seemingly very open because there's no neighbors, right?
Right.
No
Right.
one
It's
get
huge.
pissed off, but
It's just hard to like, for us as like a collective in LA to like do something there because you can't sell tickets to an open park
yeah,
unless
I mean,
I don't even think you could section it off.
really what would be a good look for you guys is to start kind of caressing the Grand Park people for next year.
Yep.
I have the people that you need to talk to if you don't already.
Yeah,
But-
I think
but you guys would be a good look for that.
Yeah, I'd love to. We have a friend of ours, Andy, or Low and Forward Rhythm. They're doing
Okay.
something at Grand Park this year. I'm not sure. I think it's coming up actually. I just saw their posting with a couple of our friends on the lineup. But that's I'd love.
I was
to do
impressed
something
to see they were down to do a 6 a.m.
there.
thing like
Yeah,
that
I
in
think-
the afternoon and everything. Like, that's great. I mean, U.S. needs more stuff like that, like techno in the middle of the afternoon kind of thing.
U.S. needs more stuff like techno in the afternoon. Is it just because it's like kept too much to the late night kind of thing? It's under wraps in the underground that people kind of don't know what to.
Well, definitely. I mean, if you're gonna educate people on what the difference is between, I mean, because your average, are we on?
Yeah. It's been on
Your
for a while.
average, your hello, your average, Joe, if you will, that gets into dance music doesn't know the difference.
Right.
And that's kind of
It's
like
all E
the
EDM.
running joke with your fellow elitists is, they don't know the difference
Yeah.
and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So when you have big brands like Grand Park, which is the city,
Right.
get behind somebody like 6 a.m., which has been pretty major
Yeah, for a while.
the United States as a whole, not just Los Angeles. Like what they do with Movement is,
I didn't know they were involved with Movement at all.
oh yeah, I mean, they curate the main stage.
Damn.
I don't know how many years they've been doing that, but at least the last 2 to 3.
I had no idea.
Easily more and more involved every year, but they're definitely a force to be reckoned with, and they're seemingly pretty kind people. So that's also something I think that is needed more.
Kind promoters.
Well, not just I mean, people that are
Civilized.
genuinely good human beings,
Yeah.
that care about things beyond their own kind of financial bottom line.
Right.
Obviously, that's important for people to grow as professionals,
Right.
and to be professionals, and not to have to always have all these other side gigs going on in order to sustain yourself. But when it's when the people generally are approachable
Needs
and
more of that.
Yeah, and I think less closed doors and a little more of all-encompassing working together.
Yeah, like a community. Just build a community.
And I see that more and more and more. I mean, when I first moved to Los Angeles, I didn't really. It was very cliquey.
Yeah. When was that?
2006.
Okay, so it's been a while. It's been like
Yeah,
13 years.
it's been
And
a
then were
minute.
you were involved in house music?
I was a
coming
DJ.
Into here?
I
You
was
were a
a-
DJ.
Yeah, I was a DJ
Ah.
from Dallas, and I more moved out here for television production.
Okay.
I've been a production coordinator, manager, various casting positions as my day gig
Got it.
for the last 13 years.
Yeah.
So I've been here, and I have pretty much stepped away from that, where I'm maybe doing it once a month to
The production.
Got the
it.
television
Right,
stuff.
right.
Not that with my brand 100 Palms, not that I'm not 100% interested in being involved in those things.
Yeah.
Music is definitely the direct line of focus.
Got it.
And everything that encompasses that, from the straight up boring business side of it to starting to look at not just working with labels and kind of fulfilling small little A&R roles for them, but possibly creating one. It's just that so much comes as you start to get more and more involved in this stuff. There's so much music that comes your way that it gets lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
And if you believe in your own ear and your own kind of ability to know what's good,
Right.
sometimes it's better just to kind of have that additional thing. I don't think a label would ever be my focus, but but to have that additional kind of silo, if you will,
Right.
of being able to create it right there in house as opposed to
Outsourcing, right? As far as like, because you were saying knowing how to like hear the kind of thing that you like or that you want to put out. Obviously, your tastes have like developed over the years. What did you kind of go through the same thing that everybody else was, where it was like early EDM? I think it's because they're kind of that was there early on in the day, so that was the kind of music that everybody was just kind of getting into. House music was in, and then it kind of slowly developed to where you are now, and now
right.
you kind of
But when I get into it, that term didn't even exist.
EDM.
Yeah, so it didn't exist at all. And still, like honestly, to me, I mean, that's I guess the elitist in me. I want it to go away, kind of thing. But as you know, as I've grown up a little bit, I think we down the road are all going to have EDM as a whole and things like EDC, electric daisy, things like that. We're all going to think those things down the road as the genres that we love. The deeper vibey side of house and techno and disco. That those things are all front and center at Coachella, that kind of thing. Not in the side tents.
Totally.
These artists are the ones that are going to start really pushing the big bills. And really, in my belief, they're the ones that are going to kind of bring back the music television, if you will.
Oh, MTV.
It is so easy to capture, a vibe, a sound, or a vision that maybe that producer had that you can't necessarily just instill that in someone's imagination. But with the video, you can, and you can definitely. I mean, what you can do with fan bases and that kind of thing, it's
pretty much just, in my opinion, I think it's just all marketing. How a person,
it is.
Especially with like house music. I mean, EDM, house music, whatever you want to call it, whatever genre you think it is. A lot of people, obviously, that like you said, how LA kind of needs to have, or the world needs more people that are representing like house music, dance music in the daytime, in the city, not hiding it in the underground kind of thing.
Exactly. I mean, Chicago is a fabulous model for that. I mean, if you look at their main little park they have there in the middle of the city, in the middle of the afternoons now, they have prolific DJs out there, and you'll see people in suits dancing. And while some people may think, and that image may feel a little cheesy or whatever, it just shows.
What, the man in the suit dancing?
Yeah, just, kind of that, like, some people may think, like, really? Really, is that happening?
Yeah.
I mean, jump on Facebook. It's
right.
really easy to find, and it's there. And now they're putting DJs in their subways. I mean,
sick.
The actual city is, like, very involved in house music.
Right.
Like they named a street after a couple of different prolific DJs there. And, I mean, it's just...
Well, to my understanding, house music's from Chicago.
Of course, yeah.
So I can understand them feeling like, just how like New Orleans has the Cajun kind of aspect to it, and they push that brand. I feel like Chicago kind of takes pride in the fact that house music came from there, and they're really willing to.
I really can't think of anything outside of sports, that kind of thing, that has really resonated to me in my kind of lifetime.
Oh, right.
That has really stood out and made Chicago kind of...
Yeah, pretty much. I've never been, so I can't really say, but I know obviously sports and house music.
And I mean, I would say the same thing for Detroit, It's like I can't really think of much, not to be negative, but,
I mean, it is what it
just can't really think of much that's come out of those areas that really stands out to me, other than Eminem.
Came out of Detroit.
Eminem. And
still music oriented
techno,
though, and techno. Right.
Eminem and techno.
Right.
And that's an electro.
Yeah.
So,
I think LA is like probably one of the best cities for us to kind of, I mean, like you said, with Grand Park kind of incorporating 6 a.m., incorporating Low, who does mostly like house music, lo-fi type of stuff, and them seeing that like, hey, these aren't like crazy people. These aren't people who are just out here doing drugs. These aren't people who are just going crazy, and they're not a danger to society.
Exactly.
Little by little. I mean, LA is a huge
and they're a good
market.
group to do that with. I mean, they have a properly ran agency.
6 a.m.
Yeah. I mean, they are a good group to do that. But yeah, so I mean, that's the kind of stuff that excites me about Los Angeles as a whole. We didn't really start the conversation out like that, but that there's many things that Los Angeles has to offer that I feel like you know, it's a little bit of Miami, it's a little bit of New York, it's a little, like it takes it's a little bit of a lot of different vibes, and a lot of that's because you have those people from all over those places that are here,
right.
but also just the makeup of the city. It can be a lot of different things to a lot of different people. It can be a struggle, or it can be a vacation.
Right.
I mean, and it could be for some people it's a permanent vacation. For some people,
they struggle. They make it enough to where they're like, "Hey, I'm cool. I'm going to take this money elsewhere,
right,
and go live a little cheaper."
I really feel like Los Angeles, out of all the places I've ever been, is the only place that I've ever been that can kind of be whatever it is that you want.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree.
As long as you truly are committed and go after it.
Yeah.
You don't have to be crazy successful in order to sustain a pretty cool lifestyle here.
Yeah.
But with just a little bit of success, Los Angeles is the kind of place that you can double that up tenfold pretty easy.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't agree
with a couple lunches, you know.
With a couple lunches, know the right people, a couple phone calls and emails. Yeah, LA is one of those places, again, I couldn't agree with you more. It's one of those places where you can come in if you're in, let's say, you're the guy in the suit that comes to LA and you want to work in the business sector, or you come as a musician from somewhere else. Again, it's commitment, it's willing to do the work. It's obviously... It can go any which way. You can come and commit, and sure, not everybody makes it out here, and that's kind of the hard truth. And there's a lot of people that really are good people and bust their ass, and they just don't do things necessarily in the right way that's going to help them out, and it doesn't work out. And there's other people that really bust their ass, and it works out to their benefit. LA is the place to kind of...
One thing that I've really paid attention to is the people that have made it, and one thing that I've heard them all say in common, whether they're a rapper, an agent, doesn't matter. Didn't matter what the struggle was, didn't matter what was put up in their face, they never quit. Like they just were the type of person that as a kid they'd fall down a flight of stairs or something, and they would, you know, as a skater or something, they'd just get right back up and do it 14 more times and break every bone in their body and eventually perfect it, and they would achieve success at that. So people that are able to have that kind of stubborn mindset while surrounding themselves with, you know, ideally positive people that are also moving in the direction they want to move in, those are the people that make it, no matter what, whether if it's immediate or it's in 40 years. And whatever make it means to them, you know,
something
those are the people that achieve that. Those are the people that don't quit. And it's as simple as that. It really is.
Yeah, I can totally see that, especially, again, with you coming out here 13 years ago. You were a part of the production, and when was it that 100 Palms was that something you brought with you from Texas?
No,
that started
that's
out
something
here.
that I just kind of honestly created once my son was born.
Okay.
Because I wanted to have something extra, and you know, Los Angeles, like I said, is the kind of place that you can create things. And through working on television and, you know, my involvement off and on in the music industry, I have made a lot of connections. And I come from, you know, the city of Dallas, the Dallas house music scene and underground techno scene there. I was connected to people like Maceo Plex and DeMarcus Lewis and some really, you know, Luke Sardello, some really interesting producers.
They have a good scene out in Dallas?
Dallas is known as a bit of a house mecca. It always has been. It has its ups and downs.
Like most.
Like any other. Yeah. So it's more of a small town feel when it comes to the dance scene, and really the hub of everything is all through this one particular venue right now.
Got it.
And it has a very unimpressive name called the It'll Do Club. But anybody from Sasha to Marco Corolla, like you name it, all these big names that come through, that's where they play.
Right.
And they're all booked and supported by a local legend that goes by Red Eye, who also
sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's definitely somebody to look at.
Yeah, I think you might have brought it up to us when we were thinking of doing South by Southwest.
Quite possibly.
Yeah,
quite possibly. So. Yeah, he's definitely a force to reckon with, and a great soul, and he's also co-owner of a really nice label called Audiophile Music Group.
Familiar with
which
them.
They have like 7 different labels, everything from like an EDM focused label, which is Audiophile XXL, which is very well known.
Yeah.
But the one that you would know more is Audiophile Deep.
Right.
So if you jump on Beatport or any of those sites, you can get real.
Damn, so they have 7 record labels for like 7 different genres
Something
of music,
like,
kind of.
yeah.
Damn,
They're
that
all
seems
very
wild.
targeted. They're all very
That
targeted.
seems wild.
The guy who actually runs the day-to-day operations, his name's Jimmy Freer. I have him signed to 100 Palms as Visions of Gloucester.
Visions of Gloucester.
He's a budding DJ, but definitely a pretty well-known producer. But he runs all of those labels, and it's just
That's wild.
It's impressive to watch him kind of to work
Navigate.
through it, and it's something that I could not do for sure.
Right. I mean, you might soon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe,
one to start.
But 7 without like a extensive team
That
around
seems-
me and that kind of thing is you got to have a certain mind for
Right,
that.
yeah,
and,
totally.
And I think I would go gray real fast.
Yeah, go gray real fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you on that. You guys represent artists strictly in LA, California? Do you guys do
No.
stuff all
No.
over the place?
Yes. So I've represented talent on an international basis. Most recently, I was supporting, which, a lot of these artists I did at some point either meet personally in Texas or
Right.
whatever. So these are not just artists that I'm like, oh, wow, they got a
just
hot
shooting
record
it.
out,
Okay.
whatever. I'm going to go after them, see if I can get some money and get
Mhm.
some dates for them
Mhm.
because I know I can book for them.
Right.
These are people that I've known for a long time, for the most part.
Sure.
I have a relationship with that I'm a personal fan of. So I have a certain control of the roster.
Got it.
And it has a more kind of curated feel
Yeah,
to it,
as
as
it should
opposed
be.
to everybody in the world
Yeah.
that's hot. Let's put them on a shelf. Let's
Yeah.
see. I get emails.
Yeah, because I don't think that works out. That formula, it could if you were kind of doing it on a different scale, but I
Well,
think
that's how every major agency.
it's just all over the place.
That's how they're all ran. So whether it's Paradigm or Liaison, they sign everybody.
hmm
They put them all up on a shelf, and whoever they're getting those offers on
Yeah.
through, that's who
They
they're
lead
gonna
their ways. Right.
put more manpower on. And of course, some people will come in and get signed, and they'll get a dedicated agent and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
or they'll come in with their own,
hmm
which works too. But I just never wanted. I had no interest in having that kind of model. It's not the point
Yeah.
of why I would
Totally.
do this in the
Yeah.
first place.
Yeah.
So I have represented, most recently would be Tim Xavier, who's a very underground, dark techno artist, originally from Texas, but he's been based out of Berlin for at least maybe 15 years now.
In
Something.
Berlin.
10, yeah.
Which I know has a great scene.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, for
he's
sure.
quite the hustler there. He also runs Man-Made Mastering, which is a pretty prolific mastering
thing,
house. But he, through this last release he did with Ellen Aligned's label B-Pitch, I was able to hand him off to B-Pitch
Nice.
bookings and kind of help him back up
Yeah.
to the next level. So that's something I do a lot. Is I have a lot of friends, if you will, or associates that are big names, and maybe they've taken a break, whatever,
Yeah.
and the big agency, whatever, is just not doing much for
Right.
them at that
Mhm.
moment. I will come in and do some outreach and see what I can stir up.
Yeah.
And, everything I do with everybody, it's always very friendly and open, non-exclusive.
Right.
So I never ask an artist to sign just with me.
Oh, okay.
They're not
That
allowed
kind of
to go and
exclusivity.
work with any other agency. They can work with any agency they want to.
Interesting.
Then if those agencies put up those walls for whatever reason, that's fine.
Right, and
I
then
don't
it's on
give
them
them
to
any.
kinda- yeah,
I
for
don't
sure.
give the artists any. It's
Yeah.
all good. The point is to be a part of growth.
Right.
And any way that you can be a part of that, I think is what this scene needs.
Yeah, I
That's
totally
what
agree.
dance music needs, is just more people that care about the growth as opposed to,
Yeah.
who can we book tonight and how much money are we going
Right.
to make on these tickets,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think from just what I've seen in the other, I mean, I totally respect the fact that you're kind of taking your person to like curate everything how you want it. You're reaching out to these people, you're befriending them, you know who they are, you think they would represent the brand well. You're not putting dead blocks on them, which I know a lot of agencies do, and a lot of artists, even for like promoters like me who book artists, there are clauses. It's like 90 days before, 30 days after, you can't play within 100 miles. So it's like there are different clauses, and I can totally see that for, you know, bookings, how they do. But I think now in our scene, it's not so much everyone's in it for the quick buck, because I think a lot of people are kind of seeing that you can't just get a quick buck here in LA unless you're one of like the more prolific.
You got to work at it.
Yeah, you got to work at it.
For a minute to get the quick buck.
It takes a lot of time. Yeah, it takes a lot of time. That quick buck's going to come, you know, 5, 6, 7 years in, and a lot of people.
That's an honest number.
Yeah, a lot of people I know that are starting. Again, I talked with my buddy Darius when he was on here, and they come in and they drop an excessive amount of money. They see that, you know, we're going to book these big artists, we're going to promote it. Our brand is brand new. Nobody really knows who we are. They book, they promote, it's a dud, or it's not what they expected as far as return, and then they disappear.
Yep.
And I think that hurts the scene.
It does in a big way.
Yeah.
So that's another thing I just kind of throw myself out there, is I like to get very involved with events. So when I see a brand or I see a new group, like say the 900 Block or somebody like that, then I'm like, I really like what they're doing. I like them. I like how they're doing it.
Thank you.
They don't require a lot of coaching or anything like that. Like I don't have to shape these groups in any way. I can just come in and apply some things that I can do.
Yeah, you contribute. Totally.
Then, you know, being able to get with different labels like this techno house label I've been working with here called Prescribed Tracks, and being able to get them acquainted with the venues, and, you know, I even come in sometimes and sign agreements, and I get very involved and basically manage the event and build it for them, and can even, you know, if they're struggling with an agent, I step in, because one thing I notice is agents respond different to other agents.
As opposed to the artist or the like promoter. Right?
Yeah. So when they're talking to the promoter, you know,
they can keep,
as an agent, it's a little not so secret thing. You're always going to swing for the fences for your artist. Your artist wants $1,200. You want to get them $1,200 if you can.
If not more.
You want to do what you can for them, but you also want to have a happy promoter. And I like being the person kind of right in between there. And when, you know, say there's an artist, I don't want to say a name, but, you know, people that I've helped out in the past, and, you know, they maybe want $10K, you can look at what they're doing and who they're booking for, and you can look at where you're the venue where you're executing at, and, you know, this is worth it for them. And maybe step up a little bit for your promoter or your label that you're working for, and throw a number like $5K at them. And that's something that promoter would half the time not have the balls to do, because they wouldn't want to alienate that artist. But when you have somebody like me that's not going to be a complete dick about it, come in, and because it's bottom line, you know, and you obviously include in those conversations, you know, we'd like to immediately talk about, you know, 6 to 9 months from now kind of thing as well. And
but see, you have the advantage of being the agent already to kind of know how to speak to other agents, whereas like
they just respond differently to you.
Of course, because
it's a different conversation, because it's in the bottom, especially when you started off by, you know, this is the budget, there's no workaround, blah blah blah. Just, this is what it is.
Whereas promoters like, hey, we want to book them. What's their asking?
Exactly. Yeah. It's
this guy.
Yeah.
That's what I used to do.
It's a tough struggle. It's very annoying.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's one thing, even as an agent, when I have groups reach out to me, I know how annoying it is to get that. So I don't do that to people. I mean, if I ask them the details of the event, like you would give to any other agent, and then I give them a straight number. Just right there. I don't wait for an offer kind of thing, unless it's a festival. Unless it's a festival, or unless it's like a major concert brand kind of thing. Or a sponsored event, and that's a different conversation. But I mean, we have a lot of those conversations. And I'm having them more and more and more.
Good.
And it is good.
It's a good problem to have.
It's good. But at the same time, it's just.
Have you found it easy? Yeah. Have you found it easier to kind of manage more of the bookings for something that's not so much of like a festival, where it's not so much of a back and forth between the agent than it would be for a festival? Because I feel like a festival, because let's say it's being represented by a brand that's a little bit bigger, obviously if they're going to be hosting a festival, they're probably someone that's fairly, you know, important, whatever you want to call it, big. And they kind of, I feel like the conversation's a little trickier because there's a lot more nuances to the booking and the people, the ticket prices.
It depends on the festival.
Yeah.
If you're dealing with, like an AEG or like a Golden Voice
Sure.
kind of thing, the conversation's going to be very fast.
Really?
It's
I
gonna
would
be
think it
very
would be the
fast.
opposite.
There's no time for that.
On their end
you
and
can
yours.
you can attempt to negotiate for your artists, but really you need to be ready
Right.
to say this is what my artist wants, because that's really what the conversation is more. Is they're like, what's the fee? And you just need to tell them.
So you're reaching out to them initially, like, hey, I know you have this festival coming up, and we have this person that we're representing. What do you think of adding them on? Not so much them like, hey, we know you represent artists.
It depends. There's different ways to connect and contact with these festivals. Initially, though, it's, if it's somebody like a Barbuto, who I work with out of Austin, or a Kimon,
Right.
who I work with here in Los Angeles.
Stay tuned, by the way.
Looking to do some more stuff internationally with her too. She's actually on her way to Europe now. To record some new music, so that should be interesting. Yeah. But for these folks, they get reached out to more.
Okay.
So for that, it's a quick conversation. They want to know what's the fee.
Right.
I
can see that.
It could have 20,000 people in the audience.
Yeah.
So the ticket, all that stuff, like.
Aren't you able to ask more for a festival booking though?
Absolutely.
If you're
And that's
representing
why.
the artist,
And
yeah.
that's why.
But you already go in there knowing like, hey,
So something, an artist that maybe might get, say, 1,500
sure, local booking.
all in, For something like that, you could, without blinking an eye, probably go 3K.
3, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
With a little bit of push, you could probably push them in the 4 to 4.5 kind of.
With
proper,
at least one or two people on the guest list.
Promote like crazy and all that stuff too.
Yeah. That makes sense.
But yeah, so there's that line, and then there's the traditional old school line, which not many people do, which is something I kind of take pride in, and it takes forever to do.
Okay.
But you reach out to every single person one at a time, no mass emails.
Ideally.
With either this is my roster, or more specifically, this is a artist who I currently have booked, yada, yada, yada,
Sure.
yada. They're going to be, in Milwaukee, you're in Chicago, whatever, at that time. How's your lineup looking? Kind of thing. And you leave it open at that point. You don't.
Because you're giving them the lineup of artists that you represent.
Yeah.
It's not like you're saying, hey, I have one person, like, do you guys want to book them?
And that's the thing. People get started at this, they bug the crap out of people.
Yep.
Because they want a response.
Yeah.
And the hard truth is, you'll get a response when people think what they see is interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's just the bottom line.
I can see that.
And it doesn't mean that your artists aren't great. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means they've got bigger things.
Yeah.
Literally in front of them, and you got to understand that.
Yeah.
And just be cool about it and back away and keep sending them stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Is it like more of like a trial and error? You just kind of keep present. Because again, if I feel like for us, when I've, let's say, proposed,
It's not
I think
trial
it might
and
be.
error.
I think it might be different as a promoter than would be someone as a label though.
It's do your research. It's time consuming, but know who
Right.
you're sending it to. That's the classic thing. People get ahead of themselves, and they're like, oh, I really want my artist to play this,
Yeah.
or I really want to play this. And
Yeah.
it's like, well, who else are they booking? Like, does it make sense?
Who else are they booking? Golden Voice, let's say.
Exactly. Or at that particular
And
show
they'll give you
that
the
they're-
information because a lot of times those, let's say the flyers aren't put out, the artists
no.
aren't announced
No, no,
yet,
no.
or you look at previous bookings.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay, you get the idea of the
What-
sound of the festival
Yeah.
itself. Right.
Does it even
Right,
make
right.
sense
Right.
to
Yeah.
be
So,
bothering these people?
yeah.
Um,
Like for a Desert Hearts, you're not going to propose
and if they're
a disco
only booking
artist.
dance music, is it only artists that they have contracted? Because that's
Right.
the thing, is people like Golden Voice now, they sign we can't book, you and I cannot book Black Madonna in this city. We cannot book her.
Interesting. She only does gigs through them out here.
It's a Golden Voice
Contractually.
thing.
Got it.
Like, even if you see Black Madonna playing a sound or whatever, it's a Golden Voice thing.
Got it.
It's-
Which I think they've done before.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that Golden Voice probably doesn't book her out some, because they do have obligations, but you have big, huge brands like that
Yeah.
now signing underground artists.
Yeah, because they see what
And they're
underground
locking
artists are
down
doing here.
markets
Yeah, for
like
sure.
LA from people like us being able to book them.
Yeah.
It's a little bit frustrating.
Yeah, I was gonna
but
say.
if you look at the other side of the coin, it's brilliant for our scene, because 10, 15 years ago, it was only people like Elton John, like,
Yeah.
John Mayer, Elton John, like big
Sure.
names,
Sure.
big pop,
that would be
radio.
represented by the bigger.
Yeah,
bigger
that they're
guys.
going to
Yeah.
invest that type of
Yeah.
just wanting to lock you down kind
Right,
of thing.
right. And Black Madonna is a big name too. So it's like a lot of artists that are coming up. I mean, you have everyone from Honey Dijon, from Black Madonna, or Peggy Goo, for example.
Yeah.
Like these are dance music, house music, techno, whatever genre of electronic dance music, technically, that are. I think social media is kind of
Well, Peggy's
changing
got
the
it
game.
down.
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah,
Peggy,
she's a marketing.
If anybody wants to know, like, how their social media can look,
Yeah.
should look,
Yeah.
I mean, I would say number one, look at Peggy.
Peggy Goo. Yeah.
Look at her on Instagram. Look at what she's doing. I mean, she doesn't put a whole lot into it all the time. Even it's
Right.
just she does it right.
She's her own brand though, and
Definitely.
a lot of people have, from what I've heard,
She's got Nike like messing with her.
That's
Like, I mean,
fucking wild.
That's crazy.
Dude. That's wild. But
That's
then again,
crazy.
I wouldn't call it a sellout. Or a lot of people are like, oh, you've used your platform as like a DJ to kind of take advantage and go towards advertising and go towards marketing and stuff like that. I think it's fucking genius. I think
you
that
have
that's
to.
what you got to do if you really want to.
Yeah, like you look at our girl Mary
Listen,
Droppins.
yep.
Like she has got that. She's got her social media is fun. It's inviting. It doesn't matter if you're like a
Yeah.
little like sorority girl or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that, wanting to go out with your girls, or if you're like techno
Right.
kind of thing.
I like how the voice
It's
drops.
fun. It's fun, and
Yeah.
she does it right. And
Yeah.
I mean, she's another person to look at.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I know that she loves Peggy, so I didn't do that on
Yeah, I don't
purpose.
know.
but I mean, it's comparable.
Yeah.
She probably very clearly follows some of her lead, and
Yeah.
it shows.
Yeah, and the marketability of that, I think, nowadays, again, is a lot different because where house music and where dance music was 10, 15 years ago when there was no internet, it was word of mouth. It's who the people who kind of are a part of the scene back then kind of pushed and,
Yeah.
what's the word I'm looking for? Like signed off on. That
Okay.
they're like, they all agree like, hey, this person is representing house music and dance music and we're cool with that. That person, not so much now. Social media, everybody represents themselves. The marketing is all there.
Yeah, even if you hate it, like honestly, I mean, I feel like artists that are still that elitist and stubborn about not doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, Richie
That's
Houghton
silly.
hates it.
Yeah.
He has someone do it for him. He can afford to do
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
but he knows it's a necessity.
Right.
You're subtracting from your own worth with
If you
your own
don't do that.
stubbornness. If you
Yeah,
don't
if you
do
don't
it,
do that.
You got to do it. You need to
Yeah.
encompass every moment with a selfie. Please no.
Right.
Like you don't.
Sure.
Do you need to be doing kickstands on the DJ on the DJ booth? No, you don't.
No.
But if that works for you, cool.
And if you're doing it and someone records it and puts it up and everybody watches it, that's only gonna help.
There it is.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. I mean, there's a lot of marketing mishaps that I've seen. Not to want to obviously say a few names, but I think we're obviously thinking about a couple of the same people with a few things that are happening. So it is kind of, you could shoot yourself you shoot yourself in the foot by doing certain things on social media. But
Definitely.
if you're gonna pitch to Golden Voice or if you're gonna pitch to Insomniac and you're like, hey, here are their social media, they have X amount of followers. That for them it builds value.
It does.
Yeah,
100%.
and it builds value for yourself.
I mean, if you get with any of these big casinos in Vegas, if you get lucky enough to get to have a conversation with it when it's not in season to set that up, because I mean, there's a season when they do all
Sure.
that, and then outside of that, they don't talk
really
to
care for
people.
booking. Yeah,
they
I
don't
can see
talk to
that.
people outside of their, 2 to 4. We need to fill this little gap at
Yeah.
the pool,
Yeah.
and then we've got this little lounge. They fill that stuff year round with local whatever.
Right.
But the big, the money stuff.
It's all mapped out. It has to be.
Any conversation I've had, whether it be the Palms or whatever, they will always initially want to just see what it looks like. And
Who
it's
the person you're
the
pitching
video.
is. Right.
They just want to see video of your party and your vibe and
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
People that don't capture that stuff subtract from what they're
Yeah.
doing. And it's
Totally.
like I get that you're underground. I get that you're underground. But at some point in time, you're going to want to do these other things.
Yeah.
And just the doors that it opens up whenever people see little windows into what you're doing. I mean, like for me, I want it on like a neon sign and whatever. If that didn't have to be your road.
Yeah.
But giving people little glimpses into what you're doing just
Yeah, it's crazy important.
drives them crazy, and that's
Yeah.
what people want.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, again, it's you're taking away from yourself. You're taking away from an opportunity for people to see who you are, because people aren't just going to know who you. They're not going to know your.
You're
fucking
automatically subtracting from the
Yeah.
brand without even trying.
name. Yeah. Has Palms ever like favored you guys because you have a record label called 100 Palms? Is that helpful?
No.
You would think so. Like, hey, come on.
No, I worked with them several years ago through MTV. We
Okay.
produced MTV Spring Break there, where we took over
No shit.
the whole thing. It was
Oh.
insane. It was insane.
So you were the guy behind Spring Break.
No, not behind it. I was one of, I think, 400 people
Yeah.
on the production staff that
Yeah.
produced it. We facilitate a lot the casting, if you will.
Yeah.
The normal
The
kids that
curating.
would stand by the celebrities,
Yeah.
the safe people. And then we'd manage the events and help with camera placement and all that kind of boring stuff.
Yeah.
But
Hey,
you know,
important stuff.
I mean, I worked very intimately with them. And
What's the deal with
lived there
MTV right
for-
now?
It's,
I haven't. It's not a channel on TV anymore. It's not a.
I mean, anything that made it kind of what it was, apart from the. It's
just
hard to talk
music
about this,
videos
but yeah, I
and
mean,
TRL,
honestly,
like-
anything that made it really what it was, apart from music videos, like The Real World,
Yeah.
that's even on Facebook now.
Yeah.
It's not on MTV.
Right.
It's very strange. It's like ridiculousness all day long,
Right.
Which is a great show. Really nice people. Rob's
Yeah.
awesome. Like
Yeah.
they're really nice guys.
Yeah,
They're
but
really
it's-
nice team. But it's
It's not to
24/7
knock them, yeah.
ridiculousness. And there's at some point, and now The Hills is back.
But they
that's
had it,
something
though.
I worked on for seasons, and I'm just like, really?
The Hills.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
like, you're back. It's like, okay.
That's so strange to me.
And now they're, I see P. Diddy is making the band,
No
bringing that back,
shit.
and it's just like
They're trying to
they're
save
just,
TV.
They're
Yeah,
just
they're
bringing
trying to
it all
bring stuff
back,
in. Yeah.
except for the music videos, and it's just like, why?
I don't understand that. Well, I mean, it's called music television, so I understand.
Yes.
I mean, reality TV
At least
was
music
huge.
blocks. Do you remember the
Something.
music blocks
Yeah.
in the morning?
Yeah.
In the lunch.
Dude, you
and
can even do an
evening?
updated like TRL style type
Yes.
thing with the music that's
Which
going
they did
on
that
now.
for a second, and I think it only lasted 1 year or something like
That's
that.
wild, dude.
I mean, anything that really, to me, I thought was important. I remember when I first started working for MTV, it was like one of those like go home and cry kind of moments. I was so,
Yeah.
I was like, holy
Yeah,
shit,
hell
this
yeah.
is like what I wanted. And then it just became reality TV. And I mean, that's all it was. Every
While you were
production-
working with them, you
Oh,
saw
yeah,
the progression
Teen Mom,
from the
Teen
Jesus
Mom all
Christ.
day long. I mean, that's all those reunion shows I've been working forever, and it's you see as I became a father, these kids are coming in, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, this starts to piss you off
Yeah.
a little bit
Yeah.
after a while.
Yeah,
It's
of
just like
course.
at some point, it's like, all right, can we get some producers in a
Something.
circle to talk about what's
Right.
going on and just like
They
create
didn't
some
even think to
music
do that
blocks? It's where the money is, It's where
Is
where
it?
the commercials are.
though. Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess
It
I can
is.
see that. I mean, music videos
I mean,
is like
do you
a 2 to
remember
3
Jerry
music.
Springer? Like, do you
Hell
remember
yeah.
in those days all those little girls that would go on
Yeah,
there crying
yeah.
about wanting
Nothing.
to get pregnant
Yeah,
and everything? It's
yeah.
like now they're on MTV, and it's
Got
like
it.
it's
Upgraded to. Damn,
and,
that's like.
and
sad.
Coca-Cola loves it. It's-
Do they own MTV?
no, but I mean, just watch the
Oh, yeah, that's
commercials.
true.
Major sponsors.
Yeah. You can't have as many commercial, or you can't. I don't think there are enough music videos for ads to really like make it for them to just play that nonstop like they did back in the day.
I definitely think though that there is a model there that with a couple interesting dance music minds, could get together.
Start
and-
our own TV channel.
I mean, it's there's so many things that already exist that you could pull from so many. I mean, it already exists if you just pulled from some of the things that already existed.
Like Mix Mag and yeah, there's a few things. I mean, it's not to say that it's
Insomniac
completely.
could do it tomorrow.
I mean, Insomniac can do fucking anything tomorrow.
Yeah,
That's
they could do
fucking
it tomorrow. If I know if Pascal saw that the dollars were there, it'd be there tomorrow. Kind
Yeah,
of thing. But
yeah. It's probably not. That's probably why. I mean, aside from advertising.
well, I
you
would beg
really-
to differ because have you seen the tickets? Have you seen the attendance for EDC?
Oh no, yeah, Insomniac specifically. Yeah, I just mean as far as like starting a channel.
There's an audience for that.
Yeah.
And if kids can see that, I mean,
you
if
can
you're
do
Joe
all day,
Schmo
though.
and you live, nothing against Joe Schmoes of the world, but if you're just some kid that lives in the middle
Hoboken.
of Nebraska, the middle of nowhere kind of thing, and this is your outlet.
Yeah.
You don't have clubs.
That's true.
You don't have festivals.
We're spoiled out here.
You don't have anything.
Yeah.
Until like cell phones and computers have really become what they have. Could you imagine growing up in one of those places?
Yeah. No.
Could you imagine being gay and growing up in one of those places? I mean,
can't. I don't know
it just explains, of why cities like San Francisco kind of became what they are.
Yeah.
Jumping around a little bit.
No, that's fine. Hey, fuck it.
But
I mean, there's no format. I intend for it to just be free flowing, whatever it is that fucking comes to mind. I don't even think we expect to be talking about MTV, but it's good.
We can cuss too. That's fun.
Yeah, whatever you want. I mean, this is my channel, so
I worked in radio for a little while too before I moved out here. And
you can do anything on radio.
It was top 40 radio, and the hardest thing was because I was a producer, and the hardest thing was your uhs and your ums. People do that.
Yeah, a lot.
When you get nervous, when you think too much before you talk, when you're aware of this, that, or whatever, you just you start doing that a lot. And I was horrible about it. Plus, my Texas accent,
which is gone now,
very strong then.
Texas.
It was pretty strong. When I have a couple cocktails in me,
I should have got the
everything
Zimas.
slows.
I should have got the Zimas.
Everything slows down a little bit, and
does the accent come back?
A little bit.
It's weird how that happens, huh?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I think it's just the lazy. Maybe just.
Yeah, you get kind of like. Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, I feel you on that.
Nothing against my Texas people.
No,
I'm not calling you lazy.
Just say whatever you want, bro. You don't got to.
No
one's gonna take
back
offense.
Speak.
No one's gonna take any offense. But I've seen a lot. I mean, with a lot of radio, I just know that obviously I don't really listen to the radio anymore. Like K-Rock 102.7, 105.9. There's only so much that you can say, and there's so many. I mean, even
KCRW is really like
KCRW.
Yeah,
which one is that?
Really.
I don't know by name. I probably know the 10 whatever.
With Jason Bentley, Gar Trinidad.
Yeah. They do that.
The little station they run. Yeah, it's like 89.9.
Oh, okay, 89.9.
It's all curated by the DJs.
KCRW.
By the DJs.
It's my radio voice.
That's nice.
I try. They curate everything.
Everything.
And they're dance music.
They're pretty dance music driven. If you listen to Gar Trinidad in the evenings starting at 8 p.m., I'm a big fan.
Plug.
And then Travis Holcomb goes on after him.
Right.
They both are pretty prolific kind of house disco
right.
DJs on the scene here. But their sets always sound like that. Everything's mixed that you hear, so that's nice. Everything's curated by them. It's not picked by a brand.
That's good.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
They do have their like station favorites that everybody from Jason Bentley to you name, like they all pick. But even with artists that I work with, being able to place music on KCRW is pretty priceless in my opinion, because it's one of the only last stations like it. Anything else like it, in my opinion, is more like a college radio station, which is pretty low budget, not a lot going on.
Yeah.
I mean,
Pretty
KCRW does the Coachella Segway interviews. And
Got
they're
it.
big. They're big.
Got it. Yeah,
Outside of Los Angeles, they're one of the most respected kind of music, NPR music houses in the world.
Yeah.
It's like this artist, James Curd, who I work with, he's a old kind of Chicago house cat. Used to go by Greenskeepers. He's been based out of Adelaide, Australia for the last several years. But he's recently been putting out kind of what he says is something more for the kids, music on Dirty Bird and Country Club Disco and Exploited and Repopulate Mars, all these labels. We got him coming out, and totally lost track where I was going with that.
Something to do with the radio, Travis Holcomb?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Duh. So, this would be like the first kind of announcement of this. Sorry, I had a little vapage on the way here. My 4-year-old was being a 4-year-old.
And he's not in the car.
He's
not sitting in the car.
I stepped out of the car.
And he's not still sitting in the car.
I had a moment. I just had a moment before I came in.
As you shouldn't as an adult with a child.
But I was able to actually, one of James's kind of goals, or old school goals when he first got into the game, was be able to do a mix on Metropolis, which Metropolis is one of the original longest running electronic music
stations.
Shows in the United States. It's right here in KCRW. You can.
Oh, okay. They host the show.
They have an app as well that you can see them.
But they're still limited to what they can say. They're still limited to the content they can put out. They're still limited to.
Absolutely.
What is it that what is the one that regulates it? What is that called?
The
is
FCC.
that the FCC? Yeah. So I mean that.
I don't know.
What are they controlling though? What is it?
Well, one of the things about them as the kind of station they are, I believe, is when you send them music, that you give up a certain kind of argument to the rights of it.
Right.
I don't think you're not giving up any control of your rights,
Right.
obviously, but in that argument, I believe that there's just you're giving them
You're
the
giving
right
them
to
to
do
do what they want.
what they want
For sure.
with the song, and really they only do great things with music. So,
Yeah.
but I was able to actually, one of his goals was to get a mix show or to get a mix set on that show.
Yeah.
And was able to reach out pretty effortlessly to Jason Bentley, who curates it, and he's the music director there. And say, hey man, I thought I had to sell him a little bit, but he
Just
loves
took it?
James.
Yeah.
James,
Oh, yeah.
James is he's like your producer's producer, and
Okay.
he's very respected in that world. And we're growing him more with the fan, if you will.
Right.
He's recently got a proper, pretty major manager out of London, and signed a couple different
Sounds
agencies.
busy.
Like he's done.
Yeah.
I mean, his day job is he's a music curator, director, composer for all kinds of films and
Sick.
video games like Rockstar. So
Yeah.
he does like
Yeah.
he's done Grand Theft Auto, things
Yeah,
like
Grand
that.
Theft Auto
Does
and
cool shit.
whatever that
But I was able to
Cowboy
get
one
him
is.
a set on that, and it's going to be cool. We have him coming in town August 10th. He'll be over at Academy up
Okay.
in the loft, and just earlier he'll be achieving one of his goals, doing a set on Metropolis just
Tight.
hours before that set.
That's awesome.
So that'll be a fun night for him.
Yeah. It's good. I mean, you're providing that for someone who,
Yeah,
you know,
I like, a lot
That's
of
how
people
you
that
win.
do this role, I feel like, they get in their comfort zone. And they're like, I just book.
Yeah.
I just do this. Even
Yeah.
though they've got the abilities
Yeah,
to reach
to-
out to
yeah,
somebody
for
and
sure.
tap and whatever. And I think, that's kind of like I can never quite leave that kind of manager
You shouldn't. It's
artist,
Yeah.
an artist's
Artist
person.
relation. Yeah.
An artist's person, like someone that actually cares about what happens with that artist as opposed to,
book and
are you meeting your contractual obligations?
yeah.
And
well, I mean, you can't. I don't even think you could do that even if you tried to. That's the thing, because that's who you are as a person. It's you've developed your understanding, you've developed your personality, and how you want to take care of your business a certain way over the last 13 years. So even if you were to try and switch it up and be the record label like liaison, it's gonna bug you. It's gonna bug you. It's not gonna be successful. You're gonna struggle, and you're gonna be like fighting yourself for literally
I won't
no
do
fucking
anything
reason.
if I don't. I'm a dreamer for sure.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, and that's why I go after things sometimes that are kind of other people are like, that's gonna be hard.
far-fetched. Yeah, for sure.
But I also am logical, and
Right.
I'm
Reasonable.
pretty business savvy. My folks were pretty strong
Yeah.
in that sense, and pretty pretty hard even to a certain
Yeah.
extent. And
As they should be.
But I wouldn't do something unless I saw clearly that it was very much a possibility that it would be successful, or that it was absolutely going to be successful. And if I didn't have major people that are already represented by the biggest agencies that exist telling me, Kevin, you should do this.
Yeah.
We need more people like you. That's
Yeah.
literally why I
Yeah.
created it.
Yeah,
Because
that's smart.
I was just like, wanting to maybe start my own kind of freelance music video, television production group kind of thing.
Because you're already involved in production.
And I had a few folks just say, dude, you should do this. It's like we need more people like you that care about this stuff, involved in this. Thought it was a little silly at first, but then a couple more people told me that, and I was just like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And on top of it, I really missed dance music.
Yeah.
I really missed it. I missed being involved. It was my life when I DJ'd.
When you DJ'd, yeah.
I mean, it was my life, and I mean, I toured all around and did my thing. And
So how was that shift?
It was all vinyl then.
Yeah.
I had a couple kind of traumatic things go down that just kind of.
As a DJ.
I just kind of complete, not as a DJ, just as a person. It just put the brakes on it.
Sure.
And my mom died, and then when my son was born, basically in the same year, it was just like, like holy shit,
Right.
kind of thing. And I just had to. It just didn't matter to me. It didn't.
Right.
It wasn't my. It didn't matter enough to
really,
kick
I need
everything to
else
get
to
my
the side,
stuff
get back in
together
there.
to
Yeah.
go, DJ down at Tokyo tonight or whatever. Like, it's like,
Sounds fun, though.
not the city Tokyo, the lounge.
Oh.
It used to be a spot that, I loved.
Got it. I was like, what do you mean?
It was a really dope spot in Hollywood back in the day.
Wow.
That had a lot of good house music.
Yeah.
or by
Thank you.
Marquez Wyatt and all those folks would be in there.
Damn, he was around back then, and he's
Oh yeah,
killing it now with Deep.
he's been.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's been like before I even moved out here. I mean,
No kidding?
I knew Deep was. I knew.
Damn,
Marquez
back
Wyatt,
before 2006?
Of course.
Jesus Christ, I didn't know it was that deep.
It's been around for a minute.
I didn't know it was that deep.
Those
that it's
guys,
called
those
Deep.
guys have been doing it literally since they were kids.
That's
I mean, they've been
wild.
doing it a long time. People like Scott Kay, people like that, like they've been doing it
And people don't see that.
literally
People don't know that.
since
That-
they were kids.
Yeah.
It's like DJs today, they just step in it, and some of them a couple months later, you know, it's like I think that you should never ever step in front of a crowd, even with all the advancements with CDJs
Yeah.
and you know, being able to quickly follow a certain artist and get into a certain sound.
For sure.
And see their track listings on Beatport or whatever and buy those. It's like
Got it.
you never develop who you are and like what makes you basically meet the crowd.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what moves it.
Early
That's
on
what-
in your DJing career.
Right, you
is what
never
you're saying.
develop that when you're always just following other people
Got it.
and you're rushing to get out and DJ.
Yeah.
for
So what do you
that
think?
moment.
What do you think is that stop and reflect kind of moment where you don't want to be that guy? Because a lot of people, it's really exciting, and I know a lot of people want to
Depends
get
on who
out
you're
there.
surrounded by. If you're
Ah.
if you're you
That
know
makes sense.
brought in, that's my massage
Sure.
moment. If you're
Nice.
like brought in by a group, you know, that's kind of helping you get acquainted in a scene and putting you on opening sets
Sure.
and doing little things, if they're willing to do that stuff for you, that means they know that you're ready, kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
And for those people, I think they're ready to go when they're ready to go.
Yeah.
But for people that are just putting themselves out there, finding their way, I mean, I feel like you should be doing this for like a year at least, kind of thing.
People are
Like
impatient.
really getting into it and just really working on your stuff and going in and seeing these people live and seeing what
Mhm.
helps them, you know, not just the beat that they drop and the music that they play. How do they meet the crowd? Because that's when you see
Yeah.
really something happen.
Yep.
You know, and if you wanted to talk about ticket sales and all that kind of stuff, you got to have that first
Yeah.
before you have any of that
Right,
kind of stuff.
right.
You got to have that kind of real stuff going on in your shows in order for it to be interesting.
Yeah. Nowadays, I mean,
Kids rush right in, and I mean, I see kids today. It's like, man, I'm DJing at Avalon tonight, kind of thing, and it's like playing in front of a big crowd, and I just don't even know what to play. Like,
Yeah.
people give me links to, you know, where are you buying music these days, and I still see people mention sites that many people that are pretty strong today don't even use, like
Right.
your Beatports and your track sources, and they're just like, what's that?
Mm.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It's like, I just get, you know, all my music for free or, you know,
Yeah.
off YouTube
It's
or
ignorance.
whatever. and
It's ignorance. It's people. Everybody's a DJ. Everybody wants to be a DJ.
It's easy to call it ignorance, but I feel like it's when you set yourself up, when you put yourself into a world and call yourself a musician,
Right.
but you're only depending on your CDJs,
Mhm.
and I think there's nothing wrong with using your sync button, but if you only rely on your sync button to help get you,
Sure.
and you know, if you're surviving on all these crutches, then you have no business being out there.
Yeah,
and
I
it's,
agree.
it's going to show one way or another.
Absolutely,
And-
it's gonna show.
and there's a lot of that going on.
That's what I'm saying.
And a lot of that being booked.
Yeah.
A lot of those kids being booked.
Because they're marketable, because they know a lot of people in the scene, because they, as far, I mean, maybe not even really marketable, but they put themselves out there. They tell
If
them,
you
hey,
can
I've
get
got,
20 little girls come see you at Avalon and you're down to play for $100, you can have a gig tonight.
Yeah.
No offense to Avalon. I think that they're a legendary venue.
Yeah.
But there's several, you know, things that they're doing in-house that I disagree strongly with.
Yeah.
And as a venue, you know, they're kind of setting up this kind of pay-for-play type
Mhm.
situation
Yeah.
that plagued the rock and roll scene. It killed the Sunset Strip. You know, if you care about music history and that kind of thing, it killed the Sunset Strip. Pay-for-play.
the pay for play.
Killed it. And really, it's dance music coming to places like the Viper Room and the Roxy that's
Right.
really bringing people back
To them, yeah.
outside of
absolutely.
like your weird little screamo shows or
Yeah.
whatever. And it's just
Which still happen.
still
Which
happens.
blows my fucking mind.
It still happens. It still happens.
I mean, there are some bands that I've obviously listened to, like
Yeah.
in high school and middle school, that are still
I'm
doing it, and those guys
amazed.
are cool.
I'm amazed too when I see
But
there's like
fucking
new,
hell,
new music coming out.
new.
And there's a lot of kids that love it, so whatever.
Dude, you can go to any high school and the same type of cliques. There's the emo kids. There's the Armo. Well, in Glendale, there's the Armo kids. There's the Latinos. There's the skateboarders. There's the water polo. It's literally the same, and it's fucking crazy to me. That's how the music, I think, still recycles, is because they're still banking on their demographics that are young, and us people who have been through that are kind of developing it and developing out of it and we're getting kind of over it. But yeah, I mean, we're getting older and we're getting, involved in things that I think matter a little bit more, that are more, I guess, from our soul, that suit us more. I mean, for you, I know you were telling me about the Beats for Bernie. You want to touch on that a little bit?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. What do you got going on?
So Beats for Bernie is, it's my, I guess, way to be politically involved. If anyone's had the unfortunate experience of being connected to me on Facebook, I'm pretty expressive with the stuff I share, and you probably know my take on things. And,
yes.
I don't want to bore people with politics because there's definitely too much of that going on right now.
Yeah.
But, I do support Bernie Sanders. And during the 2016 primary, I developed a music platform called Beats for Bernie. It was an event where I would basically kind of bring the vibe of, that I learned from dance music of a community outside of just this is a show.
Yeah.
So creating a space that people could come and meet other people that are supporters of Bernie Sanders, or what is this about, or
but it's not a fundraiser.
Where can I get? It's not a fundraiser at all.
Okay.
It's actually the targeted focus of it is to drive volunteer signups to give people basically these are Bernie Sanders people. So I work directly with his team. And they'll sign you up right there on the spot.
Awesome.
And,
it raises awareness.
And
sure.
and then also just registering people to vote. Like
Yeah.
some people just, you'd be amazed, haven't done it, don't know where to do it. Maybe don't think it matters, whatever. So they come to Beats for Bernie, they hear some good music, they get drunk, and hey, let's go ahead and register you to vote.
Yeah, I mean that's good. That's your opportunity as a label, as a brand owner to put what, again, you're curating the artists that you represent. You're curating how you deal with them because you're personable and you kind of take it upon yourself to get with them, and you have strong feelings about this.
You can move it around different communities. So if there's they say that people of color and that kind of thing are ignored in these situations a lot, or people are just going to produce these events in Hollywood or whatever.
Okay.
You move it all around LA, proper, and do all kinds of different events from local hip hop artists.
Right.
This next year, will probably definitely be more dance music driven because I just kind of want to stay focused.
Yeah.
But there'll be plenty of people like all your Bananas people and those folks that I will probably work with and bring on. I mean, I definitely won't say no to anybody that wants to be a part of something like that. It's not
for sure.
It's not the kind of thing where it's like, no, that doesn't make sense
Crazy
for my lineup.
Curated.
I'll make it make sense.
Yeah.
We'll put you on before or after somebody, make it make sense.
Yeah, you curate it the right way.
But when we did that the last time, I had a team of like 6 people that helped me. Really, one other fella that helped me really manage it. But we signed up, I want to say it was something like 300 volunteers, just over 300 volunteers, and we registered to vote. I think it was
that's crazy.
Something
That's
maybe like 150 or something like that.
Do you think they would have still had? I mean, do you think those people still would have went out and decided to register themselves to vote? I don't think so.
I think maybe something like
maybe not all of them.
Maybe 40 to 50% of them,
Yeah.
maybe. But when you provide an environment, a safe space, if you will, that's something I think we take a lot of pride in with dance music, is regardless of what a safe space is to you, whether you're a weirdo or gay or just like to hear weird, dark music in a weird, dark place, with lasers kind of thing. We like to provide safe spaces for people to kind of grow and live in and be who they are.
Yeah. And you are.
Definitely look at that as that type of experience very much.
Yeah.
And it's good. It's a good thing. It allows me, because I can be pretty passionate to overly passionate about things. And people in my more progressive world community, I used to work with a group called California for Progress, and I was one of the founding members of that here, of the initial group. Now it's grown into this whole other thing. It's much bigger than I can manage day to day. But a lot of people tend to be like, oh, I like things you say, or like how you sound, or whatever. You should run for something, or you should. I'm just like, dude,
do it. Fucking run for something.
Like, I mean, I'm just such a overly passionate
That's good. That could
kinda-
benefit you in the
yeah, but-
primaries.
Yeah, I would be the kind of person that, if I was up debating with somebody and they were just horrible,
Yeah.
kind of, like our current president kind
Sure.
of thing. I don't even want to say his name. I would literally be like,
Go
you
off
are
on
literally a piece of fucking shit kind of
Yeah.
thing. I just
Yeah.
would not be the one to fill that role.
Right.
Now,
So
could
maybe
I
not smart.
campaign manage for somebody?
Yeah. That's your
Definitely.
thing. Got it.
Definitely.
So you'll help
Definitely
him. You'll help
could.
someone get there.
But beyond that, no.
No.
No,
Okay.
that's,
That's fair.
I think I would have you have to be insane to run for, in my opinion.
I
The
don't
people that run for those roles,
Right.
you have to be just a little bit crazy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think I'm crazy in other ways, but not
Yeah,
enough
you
to get involved in that sense. But
Yeah,
it's a
there's no-
positive, the Beats for Bernie thing is a positive way to be involved.
Yeah.
And to get behind it without needing to be loud and mouthy about
Yeah.
anything that you
Yeah.
personally feel.
Yeah.
We've even, from time to time, we bring in some spoken word people and allow them
Nice. That's cool.
put them up on stage, and that backfired a couple times.
Really? What'd they
And
talk about?
We had one lady that came out. She made me a little nervous before.
Okay.
She was eccentric,
Okay.
She was maybe somebody that used to go to Burning Man.
Mhm.
But
I
maybe
picture her
but
already.
maybe just
She have dreadlocks?
maybe she probably used to have dreadlocks kind of thing.
Dreadlocks, okay.
you
No
know?
offense.
No, but
it.
she was out there, and I've met all kinds of out there, and I love out there.
Yeah,
She was out
she was
there,
out there.
and I was just like, well, what are you gonna say? So we went on the patio, and she read it to me. She read everything to me except the end, where it was this whole emotional thing about, I think, like, basically the point was getting the bad out.
Okay.
But the end, the part that she did not recite for me, is when she basically had this really frightening and expressive, facially expressive
Mhm.
orgasm on stage in the mid, like right after just basically talking, and it was
What?
Yeah, and it ended that way, and
She just
I literally
got off?
I let her. I didn't.
You
She
didn't
was just
stop
like,
her nut?
"Ah," I'm not gonna recreate
Nice.
it, but
Nice.
she.
I know, yeah.
But I mean, I got up there and was just kind of like, okay, ready? Okay,
Yeah.
they're like, you're done, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I didn't physically like kick her off
Yeah.
stage. But when she walked off stage, everyone was just kind of looking at each other. And
Yeah, like did that girl
after
just
that,
get
I
off?
was probably gonna just focus more on music
Yeah.
moving forward.
Yeah, it's maybe easier to kind of predict what someone's going to do and
Because
not.
even when I had a couple of DJs come in and they would play, some hip hop track that
Sure.
maybe drops, a bunch of fun language, and
Mm.
we're in like Cabo, Wabo Cabo, which is a pretty
Yeah.
corporate
Yeah,
type
yeah,
place,
yeah, for sure.
and everyone's looking at me, and the manager's like, I'm like, hey, you don't know what happened with the spoken word on stage. Just be happy
Yeah,
with this.
that's your
This
cr-
is
that's your
fine.
crutch.
This
Yeah.
is fine. This
Yeah,
is
when
fine.
someone orgasms on stage, I think you maybe go left.
And it's completely unexpected.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like if you're at the vagina monologues or something like
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
there was
yeah.
nothing in the story that would
That-
lead you to think
Damn, she set
this
you
is
up.
where we're going.
She set you up for
and
sure.
she went right in, and then she had no shame about it. She continued to email me and message me and wanting to do further performances. And I told her, moving forward, we were going to just focus on music.
Yeah.
But thank you for
Thanks
your
for orgasming
contributions.
on.
Your
Yeah, thanks for coming on
contributions.
stage.
Yeah.
Thanks
Yeah.
for coming on stage.
It was fun, literally.
Come on, yeah, that's good. That's like we got a couple
Yeah,
of.
it
those
wasn't
in
a
this time.
fun sight. Maybe that's the other thing. I don't know. I mean, I would think even if she was like
I mean, if someone's just standing
aesthetically pleasing, people would have still probably thought it was very strange.
up there. Yeah. I mean, you're just at somewhere where you're not expecting that. Beats for Bernie. We're all fucking hyped.
So
and then
sorry,
someone-
Bernie Sanders for president, everybody, that this found its way into the conversation. But it is a fun event that has a lot of character.
I can't wait.
And after this one of
I can't wait.
moment,
Yeah.
we're gonna have everything very dialed in. This
Yeah,
time
that's
around.
good.
Very dance music driven, fun, funky, and free.
Nice. Perfect. What's coming up? What can everybody expect from 100 Palms or?
Yeah. Well, a couple of folks that I'm helping out is the Prescribed Tracks family. He's actually calling this party Clinica Presents, but it's at Catch One this Saturday.
Okay.
July 20th. Is that Saturday or Friday?
Yes.
I believe it's Saturday. It's July 20th with J. Paul Ghetto and
Oh, that's right, I
Regis.
saw that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's going to be a good time. It's kind of a smaller room that we're in, so should be a chill vibe and be cool, kind of disco house
Yeah.
vibes there. And then preparing August 10th for, I mentioned earlier, for we're taking over the loft space at
Mhm.
Academy LA. Love the Insomniac Events family there. For James Curd, we joined forces with Madhouse DJs. Everybody loves
Okay.
those
Love those
guys.
dudes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got Zeladon coming through and Julian. And then the fellow that I teamed up with to actually produce the event, his name is Tony Comfort.
Tony Comfort.
Out
Sounds
of
familiar.
out of Las Vegas. He
Sounds super
runs
familiar.
Music for the People. You definitely know him.
Yeah.
You definitely do. I believe he did Nacho House and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's like one of the people in
right, for sure.
Las Vegas. Definitely the way that I met, the Soul State family and all those guys as
We
well.
were just out there this weekend.
Yeah, I saw that.
We were hanging out with Soul State and all those dudes. Good people.
Yeah, they brought old Mary out.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really love, not to distract too much or stretch this out much longer,
Yeah.
but really love what's going on in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
What used to be very small, kind of sad, little underground scene of just like a couple little bars is really strong
sure.
and heating up, and now you
Yeah.
see the big casinos getting behind folks like Brett Rubin and all that, who's also staying true to his scene and bringing the whole Soul State crew through for a
Yeah.
takeover. Like that's what needs to be
Nice.
happening at these bigger casinos. So nothing against your Calvin Harrises of the world and your Tiestos of the world, but
I mean, a little bit against them.
they've got their share kind of thing.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
I think that this more European lifestyle
just like the real
version of
house
house
music.
and
Yeah,
techno
yeah.
is the future.
Yeah, I
I mean,
agree.
it is the future, and
I
it's
agree.
what kids today that are headbanging and just EDM and all that. This is what they're listening to in 5 years.
Right. I mean, yeah. If you're listening to EDM that has Rihanna in it, that whole demographic needs to be educated on our understanding of good house music, good techno.
These kids
deep
that
house,
can
whatever
afford
it
these
is.
trips and these hotels and everything.
They're gonna
for
fucking
EDC,
love us.
For
We're way
EDC
cheaper.
now, these are the same kids that are going to Ibiza in a few years.
Right. Yeah.
To
Because they're getting older and their tastes will hopefully mature.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Plus, as cannabis is becoming more open,
Ah, yes.
and kids are
Yes,
less
yes.
less booze
Strung
driven.
up. Yeah.
Less booze driven.
Yeah.
Alcohol, as much as I love a good drink, especially when you're young, I'm sure you remember, it drives a negative.
Yeah.
A negative vibe, and you
Yeah.
see that in shows.
Yeah.
And the more, I don't want to say chemically driven, but the more
I was gonna say.
but the more I see cannabis involved in any events, the more positive it seems to
Yeah,
be.
yeah.
And one thing that's definitely going to be in everybody's future that people need to get used to
Yep.
is not as much the beer garden anymore, the cannabis garden.
That would be
that's.
tight.
I mean, Desert Hearts just did it,
Yeah.
and I know for sure that there's so many different
It's
big
coming. It's
event
coming.
brands
Yeah,
that are just
yeah.
looking at what it takes. And
Might be a while though. It's
it
got to
d-
be federally legal.
It doesn't.
for them to.
It doesn't. It just depends the state that you're doing it
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
And the more that I see that involved, and just people do certain things when they listen to music. When you sit back at your place and you vibe out or whatever,
Right.
you might have a cocktail or whatever. But the more people I feel that like cannabis, that feel more open and the less illegal that it is, kind of thing.
It'll
I
transition.
just feel
It'll
like it
transition
just
them.
like you see it in the scene.
Yeah.
You can go to Denver, you can go to Seattle, you can go these places where it's like this, and you can go to places where it's not like this,
Yeah.
and you see the difference.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You see it in a
Yeah.
major way, and it's I don't know. I think it's
That's
a
the next
positive,
wave.
next positive. It's a positive twist on what we're doing event wise for sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your time, Kevin.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. I know
Thank
you're
you.
a busy man. I appreciate your time. Anything else you want to touch up on?
No.
Touched
no.
on bases?
Oh, we didn't even mention
August 31st.
August 31st. We have a show.
31st. Yes, that's why when you mentioned Kim on earlier, I was like, do we want to say anything? Is
Yeah,
that
we
not-
do. Yeah,
okay,
we
cool.
totally do. She already announced it and put it on her summer bookings.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, we're gonna have Kim on out at the Mayfair Hotel,
Mm-hmm.
which if you've not been yet, it is beautiful. It was voted by countless lifestyle hotel
Right.
magazines as one of the best new hotels on the planet. And
Sick.
that's no shit either. With it being that nice, it is so approachable, and the staff in there is so kind and chill. You don't get that like stuffiness.
Yeah,
You don't
yeah.
feel like if you're not a multimillionaire or a millionaire or a
You can't
$100,000-aire,
really enjoy it.
you don't
yeah.
feel out of place
Right,
there.
right.
So we'll be in the library bar May 31st with Kim on. We'll have Stefan
Yep.
coming through as well, which that alone is going to be really sick.
Yeah, we're excited for that.
And then for the first hour, we'll have a new girl that I'm working with. Her name is Dennis. She is definitely developing, but has a really nice kind of chill disco vibe to her.
Perfect.
Little crunchy house disco
Yeah,
vibe. So
perfect.
So yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be a good night. It's free for everyone.
Okay.
You can RSVP through the
We'll get it
Eventbrite
out.
page once it's
Yeah,
up. But
we'll send it out.
It's not necessary. You just come to the back of the library bar and it's a good time. They have really nice art there too. So see you then.
Perfect. See you then.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone.